My name is Squibb, and whenever anybody asks what it was like growing up here, I don't really know what to tell them that's different from their lives. It's just, I don't really know anything different.
My name's Squibb. I'm the youngest sibling of the Squibb family. Been living up here all my life. I was born up here, and I've spent time in suburban neighborhoods that are different lifestyle from this and enjoy a lot more than normal suburban life.
My name's Dakota. I'm Mark's son. I grew up on this piece of land, was here my whole life. Growing up here was definitely unique, and I didn't realize how unique it was until I was in like 15, 16 years old, when we spent more time in the city, living in that rental house while we were in the between stages of building. Like, we'd lost the old house and we were building the new one. I didn't realize how unique and special it was to be up here and be this secluded and grow up like this. But sitting here now, I definitely realize this is definitely how I'd like to raise my kids. Work on the local volunteer fire department, kind of motivated to do that since I was 12 when we kind of had the housing situation reset. And that being the center of the community, that sounded like a fun thing to do.
The High Park Fire, west of Cripple Creek, as crews on the ground continue their fight.
That fire growing in size, at last report approaching 850 acres as fire commanders watch the weather, hoping to avoid more complications on an already challenging blaze.
When a forest fire came through called the High Park Fire, took our home, took our outbuildings, took everything, took us off this mountain in a hurry. We lost everything. And that put a big hurt on the family, but we held strong. We held strong, and this guy designed our new home, and we all helped make it happen. We all built it together.
When I try to explain how I engineered the house, most people think I'm nuts. Probably am, but the principle of the house is basically you have the solar panels, all right, which are mounted vertical. The reason I wanted to mount the solar panels vertical is because we get big hail. So by having them vertical, they're not vulnerable to being smashed with hail. But the roof pitches off and it basically bisects, meaning the roof is at half the angle of the sun during the summer. During the winter. So as the sun travels, the roof acts like a 6,000 square foot mirror, and it reflects the light up on the solar panels. So even though they're mounted vertical, I get about 140% more sun or more energy out of them, just because of the architecture of the roof. So the concept is basically the roof is integrated with the environment 3 different ways: light harvesting, water harvesting, and in the summer, it's heat rejection. So the house is engineered in a way that it has neither a furnace nor an air conditioner. It's completely passive. We've abandoned it for an entire winter because we're at 7,500 feet, and it will not get below about 50 degrees with no heat whatsoever. So when I was engineering the house, I read this book. It's by a guy named Wilhelm Reich. And what he discovered is that there's interesting kinds of energy. So one day I was out and I accidentally dropped a magnet on the ground, which I have a magnet here. So you can scrape a magnet across the ground here. And if you look at this, a lot of the dirt is basically magnetic. So this dirt fits the definition of an orgone collector. So I engineered the whole house to be, or at least the insulation, as alternating layers of organic material and metal. So the whole house is a giant orgone collector, which is okay for anybody that doesn't know orgone. If you want to super sprout a seed, basically the house is architected as a life pod, which is why, for example, if you take a fruit inside, it pretty much won't rot. So the barn is basically another form of greenhouse because our goal, or my goal, was to make it so both the chickens and the ducks or the poultry would have natural light. So they get natural light through the winter and summer. The roof is clear, so basically not only do they get natural light, but in the wintertime the chickens will eat about 30% less feed because they've got sun. So the chicken feed basically is a mix of grain. So we just fill this, like for example, we got some leftover pinto beans and wheat. And so we fill this up, and so the grain falls down the channel and the chickens are fed. This is a water reservoir. I made it out of 2 trash cans with spray foam between. It's got a tank heater on the inside, which prevents it from freezing, and then the water circulates down through this pipe, through a loop, and then comes back in and around, so the system doesn't freeze all winter, which is real handy. Plywood floor is because we had a bear come out here, rip up a corner, and go ahead and start eating some chickens. I don't know if it was a bear or a weasel or what, but we lost Christmas Eve one day, 2 years ago, we lost 23 laying hens in one night. It was bad. When people drive up and they look at the roof, they say, wow, that has to look like a cave. But when you come inside, we have 1,000 or more square feet of glass facing south, so the light comes in. So when the sun comes up in the morning, it shines all the way to the back wall. So the place is lit up, and basically through the entire day, like if it's sunny outside, the temperature will hit 75, 80 degrees, so that most of the winter time, we actually have to open the doors to release heat.
I didn't think you fit it. Did he fit really well? Well, I wouldn't say it fit him well.
So the other thing is, like this last year we installed, I'll call it power autonomy or utility autonomy. So we make our own electricity. Back here is all of the facilities, the charge controller. We've got 18 batteries up there, so the house stores about 70 kilowatt hours worth of battery, which means that if there's any sun at all in the day, the house collects all the electricity it needs for us to live normally. You'll notice we don't talk about or worry about how many lights are on or anything like that. The solar panels up top collect more than enough electricity for us to live normal, pretending we are on grid. So even though we're off grid, we don't even need to know. Basically family living area. I have my workspace back here, Dad's cockpit, computer, storage, various infrastructure, making products and communications, a lot of supplements, kind of like, it's basically my lab. We have the family gym, clinic, Livo 2, the boys train, rowing machine, Roman chair, inversion table, sauna, weights. So we all work out here when it's not pleasant to work out outside. Come over to the other side. When you're working out on the bike, you can see all the mountains, you can see the garden, so lots of natural light. Okay, we're just doing a warm-up. Desaturation to 83. We'll get him down in the 60s here shortly. The goal here is basically to desaturate, open up the vascular system, and then hit him with rich oxygen, helps the immune system. Ready for a sprint?
Yep.
Ready in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, hit it. 30, 29, 28, 27, 26, 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Holy crap. You're pushing 900 watts. Well done, lad. And this is it. The other place that's kind of cool is when you're up here, you can look down in the kitchen and sort of see food prep, mom in her cockpit.
Mom in my cast iron.
Yeah, your cast iron skillet.
We always have been big into growing our own food. When we can't, of course I have to buy it. This is end of winter. These peppers are organic but bought from our market. But I insist on giving the boys wholesome food. They're big on meat and dairy, but I do throw in veggies.
You know, the fire came through and it was really weird. You know, she carries all the loss. Okay, but I just woke up and it was like my mind had been erased. You know, the debts had been erased and it was like a blank slate. And what was weird was, for me, it was just sort of like naked freedom. It was all gone, but you know, she's really rooted in her character, which is to kind of carry things along. And I was like, okay, where do we go from here? And so I'd always had this vision in my mind that I was supposed to build a house. And what was interesting is I started to engineer the house and say, okay, well, how do we want to live? How do we want to do it? If you had a clean slate with nothing, and people would ask me, they say, well, Mark, if you want to build a house or make my house sustainable, what do I do? I said, well, I'll start with a bulldozer. Okay, we didn't have a bulldozer, we had a fire, but it was, for me, it was a life reset, saying, okay, if you get to start all over, where do you want to begin? And so at some level for me, it was like it was a blessing, you know, because waking up without a mortgage, you know, living and being able to evolve to where we're independent from food, electricity, you know, we basically provide, we kind of evolved to the point where we provide everything we need here, which is, it's a sense of freedom. So, you know, while the fire was traumatic, it was huge loss, okay, but it was also, you know, in the biblical sense, it's like, what, cleansing by fire, quite literally, and then you wake up and it's like, start over, but that's not always bad.
It's sort of like a reset. It sure did make the boys stronger. You know, they learned a lot building this house.
And I think that's just a byproduct of, you know, we're all family and we do everything together. And, you know, something needs done, we get it done. Doesn't matter if it's pouring concrete or building a house or working with somebody that needs help or, you know, training a sports team or anything. We just do it all together. And that's the learning process that they've been in through their whole life.
Boy, you know, Mark and I, it's coming on 30 years that we've been together. We met in the city of Montreal. First day I saw him, my heart skipped a beat.
We spent a good amount of time having fun. Then we came up here and started having kids.
Still having fun.
That's true. True enough.